Good afternoon. This is the demo for Sprint Weeks 7 and 8 of the SearchWorks 3.3 Fall 2018 work cycle. I'm Sarah Seastone, and I'm serving as the product owner for this sprint. Other members of the team include Jesse Keck as developer and the technical lead, Alyssa Hafley as the scrum master, Jennifer Vine as designer, Camille Villa, Chris Beer, Drew Wingett, Jack Reed, and Shelley Doljak as developers. And Cam Chan is our operations liaison. In this work cycle, we've been addressing high priority enhancements to the SearchWorks application. We're nearly finished with the work cycle and excited to walk you through some of the work that was completed by the team over the last 2 weeks. So Jesse's going to walk us through work completed in indexing, some work on analytics tracking, and some changes to request links for collections that need to be used on site. Some changes to the SDR mastheads, removing the Google book link when we have specific SFX data, and the exciting addition of Articles Plus selections. So Jesse, you want to go ahead and walk us through?
Great, thank you. Yeah, as Sarah mentioned, actually the first two things that I want to talk about don't really have a good demonstrable display, so I'll just kind of talk through them. The first thing that I want to mention is some updates to our indexing. As we mentioned in some previous work cycles demos, we've been working towards trying to improve our application performance. One of the tasks that we wanted to do was to no longer parse mods and mark metadata directly in search results to generate our search results display. The work on the indexing side has been going really smoothly, and we've been churning through our indexing backlog, as well as made various application enhancements to no longer use the parsed mark and mods and now use that data from the index. That's kind of in progress right now. We even have that code for at least the mods in the search results of the application now. But in some cases, some of that mods is still in the records. And as soon as the mods is no longer being returned in search results, we will end up seeing that benefit of that change in our search results performance. The same thing can be said for Mark, although we're taking a slightly different approach with how we're going to roll that change out. But I did just want to mention that that is work that has been continuing on and is kind of some of the primary indexing work that we've been doing. Another big task that has happened in the last sprint over indexing is we've been looking at changing the indexing pipeline that we have and to be a bit more resilient. I think we were finding, particularly with very large indexing runs, that it would error out eventually, and then we would actually have to restart it from the beginning. So we've been using a new kind of queuing methodology for how we queue up the records that need to get indexed, updated, deleted, etc. And this new queuing mechanism has the ability to resume after failure where it left off, and has a lot of benefits like that. We'll hopefully continue to show benefits to the resiliency of our indexing pipeline moving forward. Another thing that I wanted to just briefly talk through is some of the changes that we've been doing with regards to how we gather analytics. So not only have we gotten rid of kind of the deprecated Google Analytics library that we were using and updated it to something that's still supported and a little bit more modern. We've also been trying to implement some various click tracking around the site, just so that we can get a better insight onto how some of the features around the application are being used, so that we can refine those features, refine the application, find where features are going underused or where features are very highly used and can be improved. So we're hoping that we can use this data to further improve the application in future work cycles. Now to some things that I can actually show you. The first thing I'd like to show, this is a record that is in a location-specific site that will now get a request on-site access link. So previously, this would have had the normal request link. What we've added is the ability in the application to configure any number of locations that can get this special request on-site access button behavior. So we had this before for libraries specifically, but now we can even within libraries drill down into specific locations and configure this for those locations. As you can see, this is particularly helpful for locations that are meant for like on-site access only, or things like that. Short loan, short time course reserves, stuff like that. So it can be really helpful. The next thing I'd like to show is kind of an updated masthead for our digital repository access point. We've updated the styling, links, content around here, so you can see a little bit better navigational links and can get you to some very interesting things, including the new IIIF resources access point that I think we demoed during our last sprint demo. We have already demoed that, but now some of that content is starting to trickle in indexing wise, and so we can actually start sending users to that content to see what content is available via IIIF in SearchWorks. Another thing that I'd like to show, again, this is more of the absence of something, but in previous sprints, we showed that now for catalog records, we are able to pull in SFX data from the API into the available online panel. Previously, we had a Google Book link here, primarily because the cover was showing up after consulting with the people who get to make those sorts of decisions. We've determined that we were able to pull that link out of this panel so that we're just driving users to these resources and not necessarily to Google for this content. The last thing that I'll show today is work that we've been going on into the articles endpoint. One of the big goals for this work cycle was to enable the citation, export, and selection of article records. In previous sprint demos, you've seen the citation and export, and this sprint we have completed selection. So as you can see, as opposed to before, we are now getting the select checkbox in search results and on the record view for article records. So I will just go ahead and select a few of these. You'll notice that the selection lists have updated. We actually have this separated now. We previously used to show you I think it was the last 3 titles that you had selected. We now split this up and actually show you the number of articles versus catalog selections that you have. You can then also jump directly into that result. So now well, you can see I'm in the selections list UI. We've split this. This is now kind of a tabbed interface with a tab for articles plus selections and a tab for catalog items. So as you can see, I have 3 kind of traditional catalog records. These are books in the library as well as content from the SDR. This list independently, I'm able to do. This is the exact same thing that it always was. I can cite, send, all this stuff with the catalog records. The real addition here is now being able to do things with the articles plus items. So as we've shown before, we have added the ability to cite these records on the record view, and now similarly you can get this whole citation list either by title or even group them by citation format for the list that you're displaying, as well as all of the export formats that we've added, so RefWorks and the RIS download. So I won't export these now to show them to you because the text file won't be super interesting, but I can, just the same as a catalog item, I can export the page that I'm looking at currently into one of these resources. And I think that that's all that we have for this sprint. We should have at least one more small little bit of work coming out after this, but this has been pretty much the wrap up of our work cycle.
Thanks, Jesse. No, there's going to be a couple of really happy librarians and lots of happy patrons on especially that Articles Plus work. So So if you have comments, questions, or feedback on the work completed this week that Jesse's walked us through, you can send email to me at cstone@stanford.edu or leave a comment in the YouTube channel, or you can always submit SearchWorks feedback. We look forward to your comments and your feedback on the work that's been completed. Thanks.